So good to be back here in Boston. So thank you first of all to Dean Chartier and the Hult faculty for inviting me. And of course, a big welcome to you, our Hult students and your proud families. It's great to be back in Boston, one of my favorite cities in the world. And this trip is long overdue. The last time I was here, it was 11 years ago. I was sitting where you are now, and everything in my life was about to change. So what happens next? Well, we can talk about that in a minute. For now, I just want to congratulate you, the students of Hult, on this milestone. I'm sure the year has been equal parts challenging and rewarding, but always worth it. You know, it's tough to stop and smell the roses, and admittedly that's something that I'm still learning too. So let's do this together. I want you to take a moment to look at someone next to you. Perhaps it's someone you've laughed with and maybe cried with throughout the year. Maybe it's a new face. Just look at someone next to you, Hult students. Look into their eyes. I can hear a bit of nervous laughter. And I want you to feel what they're feeling. And I want you to be grateful for that connection. Now I want you to look around the room and I want you to feel the energy that we're experiencing together. Can you feel that? It's not an energy of certainty, since your future hasn't been written yet. And life's going to take you through hundreds of twists and turns along the way. Believe me, I know. This room is an energy of unity, enthusiasm, and above all, possibility. You've been in training, and now it's time to show the world what you're made of. The times in life where I've felt stuck, it's because I've been trapped in linear thinking. That's when you're walking down the path that someone else has told you to walk down. It's when you try to fit in with others, even though they might contradict your values, and it's when you play small. But if you're serious about the impact you want to have, and you want to reward all the people who believed in you and sacrificed so that you can be here, well then today is just the beginning. At Hult, we don't play small. We relish the underdog status and use those values of unity, enthusiasm, and possibility to create the future the world needs, the future we can see but others can't. Today, you get to harness the energy of this room and make a commitment to give your all, no matter the cost, in the pursuit of what you're called for most. That's not linear thinking like I mentioned earlier. That's the opposite, what I call exponential thinking, where you walk confidently into the unknown, having faith that you'll eventually be rewarded for your courage, where you stay true to your values, knowing that you'll eventually attract those who embody your spirit, and it's where you focus on a daily commitment to becoming the best you can be so you have more to offer those who need it most. Exponential thinking is the catalyst for all great action and impact, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. How to harness what you have so you can win the one extraordinary life that you've been given. My journey began in Brisbane, Australia, where I lived for the first 28 years of my life. Somewhere along the way, I developed a dream to do an MBA in the United States, like many of you did. But I wanted to study at a university that was looking forward, one that embraced the future, one that understood the nuances of our complex world, but empowered individuals, no matter where they came from, to realize their potential and make the world a better place. So in 2012, my girlfriend and I moved from Brisbane to Boston, about as far away from Australia as you can get, to a city where we didn't know a single person. We rented an apartment in Central Square, and I can still feel the excitement of being in Boston for the first time. It's such a proud city. And if you want to test yourself, find clarity on your purpose, and make lifelong friendships, Boston is one of the best places to do it. And so much growth can come from being immersed in the extreme unknown. I came into Hult with a plan, one that I was determined to stick to. But as the old saying goes, if you want to make God laugh, just tell him your plans. And the biggest thing I underestimated was just how different I would be at the end of that year, and how my life would never be the same again. It was like being put into a washing machine, spun around, and then thrown out in a completely different direction. Later, I would come to realize just how important that was, because it discarded all the parts of me that I'd put up as a shield and put me on the path to being my true self once more. So if you're feeling those butterflies of uncertainty right now, I'd encourage you to lean in and embrace that feeling rather than trying to recapture the old you that's gone forever. That year, from August 2012 to August 2013, was certainly a pivotal time, not just in my life, but for the city of Boston too. To take you back to what was going on in the world, a South Korean rapper by the name of Psy burst on the scene, and his song Gangnam Style topped charts everywhere. Does anyone here remember the song Gangnam Style? Love it, I thought a few of you might. And I didn't think anything would stop its momentum until a craze known as the Harlem Shake took over. And universities all over Boston embraced these viral sensations, filming their own Gangnam Style and Harlem Shake videos, and of course, Hult got in on the fun. Mother Nature sent us a few challenges too. We experienced a blizzard, an earthquake, a hurricane, and none of that was in the Hult brochure. A group of us formed the first ever Hult rugby team and travelled to Virginia to compete in the NBA World Rugby Championships. We came dead last, mainly because our team was more focused on enjoying ourselves than the actual rules of the sport, but we had a lot of fun along the way. And arriving in Boston, I'd spent many years working in the corporate world, but I'd never started a business before. And seeing the enthusiasm from the people attending the more than 70 universities in the area, I was exposed to real entrepreneurship for the first time. I saw people my age and younger who were brainstorming business ideas, pitching their concepts, raising money. They carried a certain aura about them that I'd never seen before. And for the first time in my life, it made me realize that I could be successful without following a traditional linear route. That I could create my own game where the rewards would match my courage, resourcefulness, and resilience. Through people like Dean Henrik Totterman, who's still a great friend today, Hult gave my fellow students and I an opportunity to connect with that path, to find out if it was something we wanted to explore further. I led the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Club, where we ran events and brought in successful entrepreneurs who revealed their path to success so we could pick up on some of the clues they left along the way. I then began to work on my own business ideas with the ongoing support of the Hult faculty that you see in front of you. Steve Jobs has a famous quote, "You can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking back." My time in Boston made me aware of how much a bubble I'd been living in my entire life, and I never even realized it. Enrolling in Hult burst that bubble in a good way and threw me into an environment that had no ceiling. And that's an incredibly freeing and exciting mindset to live with. Still scary as hell though, because you're out there exposed to the world. That was the moment when I began to live without limitations, to cast aside linear thinking and instead embrace exponential thinking. As much as possible, and I cannot emphasize this enough, you need to surround yourself with people who see the world without limits and who back themselves to win. Let me say that again. You need to surround yourself with people who see the world without limits and who back themselves to win. The only way to do that is to constantly build yourself into a person of value so you have something meaningful to offer people who live with that mindset. Yes, you have value right now, but it's the tiniest fraction of your potential. Working on it should be a lifelong pursuit. And if Boston shaped that mindset, it was doing a rotation to Shanghai, China, where I realized just how big the world was. It made it clear that there's no reason to play small or worry about what others think, since the world is so vast and makes way for people who know where they're going, whether that be in the corporate world or through launching their own business. And even with all the things I just mentioned, there was one day that would change Boston forever, and that's quite a feat given the history of this great city. It was Monday, 15th of April, 2013, Patriots' Day. We were all in the Hult building for a project that enabled us to collaborate remotely with students from other campuses, and I always loved the projects that Hult would put together to help us learn and grow. That was the day of the Boston Marathon. My girlfriend was running in the marathon, keeping me updated through text messages. Then we received word that bombs had been detonated at the finish line. In the immediate aftermath of the terrorist attack, there was mass panic and uncertainty. Authorities were scrambling to find out what was going on as rumours of more widespread attacks around the city began to spread. Cell phone coverage was down, meaning no one could communicate with people they knew in the race, and they were the longest hours of my life. But the city rallied together, and Boston Strong became the slogan. Nothing can keep this city down, and it was a powerful reminder of the gifts that can often be found in tragedy if we look hard enough. I mentioned earlier that I came into Hult with a plan, but along the way I realised that it wasn't my plan, it was someone else's. And I've spent the 11 years since I graduated unlearning just as much as I've been learning so I can live a life that's my own. Some of you come from countries where culturally you do what you're told a lot more than others, especially when it comes to the expectation of career paths. I would encourage you to challenge that belief by thinking about what life you could create if you had concentrated effort in an area you're truly passionate about with the right mentorship. The happiness, growth, and impact you'd experience would prove that you were right to think freely for yourself, to embrace that exponential thinking. And perhaps that journey you would go on would teach those around you a thing or two as well. One thing I'm sure of is that graduating from Hult isn't about a piece of paper. It's not about what's happening out there, it's about how you've changed in here. Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "The mind once stretched by a new idea can never return to its original dimensions." I know your year at Hult has opened your eyes and made you someone who will never be the same again. Your mind, like mine, has been stretched to a new dimension, and now the real work begins. Remember, your future, your destiny is whatever you decide to make it, but you only realize it through a daily commitment to give your best. That's what I mean by win the day. It's a daily commitment. The moment you take your foot off the gas is when the ghosts of doubt, fear, and procrastination seize control of your mind. Those ghosts are experts at destroying dreams, and if left unchecked, will drag you into the depths of despair before you even realize what happened. So attach your happiness to giving your best in the present rather than to an outcome or achievement in the future. If you can win the day, you win your week, you win your month, and you win your life, inspiring generations to come. To finish, one of the most powerful lessons I learned at Hult was the famous Stephen Covey principle: seek first to understand, then to be understood. If we look around the world today, in the parts where first world societies are crumbling, it's because people are busy shouting at each other, online and in person. Imagine how different the world would be if each of us had the best of intentions for the common good, to create a supportive space where people could show up as who they are and be upfront with their vulnerabilities, to ask questions that showed we cared, and to connect on a much deeper level. You see, it's through listening, not talking, that we bring those dreams to life. And only then, once we fully understand the other person's position, through the scaffolding of compassion, would we challenge them if needed so we can learn from each other in pursuit of the common good. I look around the world today and I don't see that. But I look at the environment Hult provides during my time, but especially today, and that's exactly what's provided. Hult takes the best parts of all of us and builds leaders who embrace exponential thinking, who are equipped to make a difference and who want to make a difference. I used what Hult gave me to become a 3-time best-selling author, translated into more than 15 languages, to launch the Win the Day podcast that has amassed more than 60 million views, and to create the Win the Day framework that's changing the culture for some of the world's leading companies. And I'm just warming up. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn to stand up and show the world what you've got. Thank you.